I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain.com, and this is my review of the G2 disc brake conversion kit fitting all 1990 to 2006 Wranglers. Today we're going to talk through the installation of this kit, which I am going to give a strong 2 out of 3 wrenches. There is no major modification of the Jeep, no drilling or cutting necessary in order to get this kit installed. However, there is a good bit of disassembly of your axle to do in order to get this bolted up. So again, a 2 out of 3 wrenches. And this is going to probably take a little over 2 hours, maybe even a little bit closer to 3. We'll talk a little bit more about the install in a moment. We're also going to talk through the construction and a few of the features of this kit. A kit like this is going to provide some additional stopping power. However, the vast majority of the stopping power on your Jeep comes from the front brakes, as with most other cars, so you're not going to get a drastic change in braking performance by installing a kit like this. However, there are still a few reasons to install this kit, even outside of the braking performance. One is that a disc brake kit is a lot easier to maintain than drum brakes are. If you've ever installed drum brakes or changed drum brakes, you know that they can be a little bit of a pain to mess with. You have all of those springs, everything has to come apart and get put back together in a very specific way. With these brakes, maintenance is going to be a lot easier. You can very easily change the pads in the caliper. You can even very easily change the rotor when it's time to do that. So maintenance is one big reason to install a kit like this. The other is that if you do have a Dana 35 rear axle, that is a C-clip axle. And if you do a lot of off-roading, if you have a bigger tire, if there's a chance that you're going to break that axle, with a C-clip axle, when you break it, the whole wheel, hub, and tire assembly can sort of just walk off of the Jeep. Now with a disc brake conversion like this, the caliper is actually going to keep the tires and everything in place, so you will be able to limp at least off the trail. Now that's certainly not a main reason to buy a disc brake conversion, however it is a nice benefit. Now there are a couple of different disc brake conversions on the market. Most of them are going to be right around this price. I think that this one is really well put together and I think it is fairly priced. Although one thing to note with this kit, because it does work on a couple different generations of Jeep, you are going to have to purchase your emergency brake cable setup separately. You get pretty much everything you need included in this kit, barring that emergency brake cable that I just mentioned. This is going to come with the backing plate that has a drum style internal emergency brake, which is going to do a really nice job of holding, even compared to your emergency brake that's on your existing drum brake. These tend to work very, very well. They have a self-adjuster built into them that's built right into the backing plate here. Of course, you have your new caliper bracket that's included as well, your caliper with a couple of brake pads. You can see the caliper isn't huge. Again, you're not getting a ton of braking power from the back of the Jeep. However, this is going to give you all of the braking power that you need. It is going to be better at stopping the Jeep than those factory drum brakes will be. And like I said before, you do have those other benefits. And finally, this does come with, of course, the discs themselves. And these are a slotted disc. They are a centric disc made by PowerStop. I run a version of these for the front on my TJ, and combined with the right pad, these have a ton of stopping power. So overall, a very nice kit. It also comes with, of course, the rest of the hardware that you're going to need to get these installed. It comes with your new soft brake lines to attach your new calipers to the hard lines that are already on your Jeep. It really is a very complete kit. So to get these installed, again, I am giving this a 2 out of 3 wrenches. There are a few different steps involved in getting these bolted up, and if you're not interested in doing a little bit of disassembly of your rear axle, I would recommend taking your Jeep to a shop to have this installed. However, if you are comfortable doing some minor axle disassembly, this is something you can certainly do in your driveway in around 2 hours, probably a little bit more. Now, as far as the steps go, of course, you have to remove your drum brakes first, and that process is a little bit different depending on which axle you have in your Jeep. Whether it is a C-clip axle like the Dana 35 that I mentioned before, or whether you have a Dana 44 or even the Chrysler 8.25, which will have a semi-float axle. In order to get a C-clip axle taken apart, you'll go ahead and remove the tire, the drum of the drum brake. You'll take your differential cover off, and finally remove the C-clip, which allows you to walk the axle shaft out completely removing the rest of the drum brake. If you have a semi-float, you'll have a plate on the outside of the axle. You won't have to go into the differential, that you'll have to unbolt, which will allow you to remove the axle shaft. Once the shaft is removed, you can get all of the drum brake components removed. You'll go ahead and bolt up your new backing plate, which also has your caliper bracket on it. Bolt that to the outside of the axle assembly. You can then slide your axle shaft back into place. Finally, mount your caliper over top of your rotor, and do all of your plumbing that you need to do to get your new brakes completely assembled. Of course, you'll have to bleed out the brake system, and you will have to purchase that emergency brake cable separately and attach that as well. So as I said, there are quite a few steps in doing this. There is some axle disassembly necessary in order to get these bolted up. If you're comfortable with that, definitely you can do it in your driveway with just some traditional hand tools and some time. If you're not, no shame in taking this to a shop to have it installed. As I said at the top of the video, this kit does come in right around the same price as the other kits on the market that do the same thing, and I think this one is really well put together. The kits that are a little bit more expensive than this generally include that emergency cable kit that you need, where of course with this one you have to purchase it separately. So all in, you're going to be right around the same price as the other kits on the market. G2 has a very good name. They include the eccentric power stop rotors. So like I said, I think that this is a well put together kit with really nice components, and it is priced right around where the other ones are. So I think you are getting a lot of value for your dollar. So whether you're looking to get a little bit more braking performance out of your Jeep, whether you're looking for brakes that are easier to maintain than your drum brakes, or you're looking for a little bit more peace of mind if you were to break an axle shaft on your C-clip axle, this kit is going to be a fairly priced kit that you can install in your driveway if you're comfortable with a little bit of axle disassembly. So that's my review of the G2 disc brake conversion kit fitting all 1990 to 2006 Wranglers that you can find right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.